recording this, so it's recording. But what's one big thing that a lot of Investor Carrot members and of course entrepreneurs of any type of business always it's a really a key critical skill, and it's something that I know a lot of you on this call. I know who are good marketers. A lot of you might think you're a good marketer, but when it comes down to it, you might not be as good as you could be. And a lot of you really are just getting started, and you might want to go, learn where you need to be going, what direction you need to be going to become a great marketer. And this call, the content in this call isn't going to be too long because, of course, we don't have too much time, and obviously the topic of marketing is so damn big that we could talk about this for days. On there's entire 40-hour training programs out there on marketing. So I'm going to go over kind of some higher level stuff. I'm going to go over some of the most important books that are on my bookshelf. That anytime someone asks me, hey, what can I do to become a better marketer? I send them those books or tell them to go get those books. And then I'm going to go over three critical things that I believe that everyone really needs to understand at a very deep level if you want to be a great marketer. And there's some really important things that I'm really passionate about marketing. I think marketing is one of the most fun things that's in business. Doug Faith, actually, he's an Investor Carrot member, and he's on this call. So I'm going to kind of call you out on this a little bit, Doug. But Doug and I went through that strategic coach program that I've mentioned on these calls a few times, and Doug's still in the program in year 2, which is awesome. And one thing that they're really great at is helping you kind of really hone in on at least especially in year 2 on that marketing stuff, but also year 1, the big part of it was finding your unique ability. And I've mentioned that in the call as well. And last year I discovered and really honed in on my unique ability for marketing strategy. But I hate the implementation of marketing. I'm just not good at it. Um, I can be good at it if I apply myself, but I always lose my concentration and focus if I get in the weeds and am forced to actually implement the marketing. But I love marketing strategy. So this past year and a half, almost 2 years, I've really taken my love of marketing even further, because now most of the marketing that I do, it's just mainly thinking up great marketing that I have my team go and implement it. So that's really what I'd love to see everyone on this call, of course, get toward is thinking of marketing all the time. How can you improve what you're doing? What resources can you guys always continually be using to learn and grow as a marketer? And also, what skills within marketing are the most important, that when you know these skills and when you learn these skills, know them inside and out, that if you were, if you lost everything next week, lost every dollar in your bank account, lost every connection you had, um, lost everything except for your knowledge in marketing, you'd be able to rebuild your income streams. You'd be able to rebuild your businesses pretty darn quickly because you know marketing so well. And here's a great example of it. I'll mention it here later in this call, but if you're a great marketer, you can go out there and start or run and grow any business you want to grow because you're a good marketer. If you wanted to start a successful plumbing business in your town, you just need to find a plumber who's a really great plumber but a terrible marketer, and then you do the marketing for it, and you guys now have a booming plumbing business because you're a great marketer, and you can translate these marketing skills to anything, to finding sellers, to finding buyers, to building a plumbing business, to building other income streams, to getting tenants for your property, stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into this presentation, guys. And of course, we have live Q&A at the end, and I'll answer any questions that anyone has. It could be on the technical elements of Carrot. So if you're a new Carrot member, welcome in to your first Mastermind call. We have these every week at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. And I usually teach a topic the first 30 to 45 minutes that's kind of going through my mind. It could be something that I encountered that week and I wanted to share it with you guys. It could be a really big concept, and then we put those recordings of our mastermind calls up online in the members area. So let's go and dive in, guys. I'm going to launch the presentation live here, and I'm going to come back out and make sure you guys can see the slides. One sec. Had to shut the door a little bit. It was the breeze is a little cold. So Here's your carrot mastermind. As always, guys, as soon as you have a question, write them down in the little questions panel. That way you don't forget them as we're going through, because I know how easy it is to get caught up in the next slide and forget the question that you had. So if you have a question, it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be about the topic that I'm talking about. It could be about, hey, you just thought of this one thing in the Investor Carrot software that you weren't sure how to use, or something like that, or you wanted me to take a look at your website to see why it's not getting the traffic and leads you're wanting to get. Just put those through the question panel as soon as you think about it, and I'll dive into questions as we go. We'll skip that through that slide. A little about me if you're a newer Investor Carrot member. My name is Trevor Mock. I'm the founder of Investor Carrot, but just one member of a great team we've got here, and we're definitely a small team. We're growing little by little, but Carrot as a company is really growing in a good way, and we're just trying to create the systems and build a great team so we can keep the high level of service. And just like with any business, as you're growing, there are some things that slip through the cracks here and there, and we're getting those better. And I apologize if you guys are on the receiving end of some of those things slipping through the cracks, but we're going through and we're really getting caught up in a lot of stuff now, which is great because we have an awesome team now. But hit me up on LinkedIn over there, and I've generated a lot of leads online, a little over 80,000 real estate related leads online now. I've been a passive investor since 2004. I have some multifamily properties and things like that, and I'm really passionate about entrepreneurs. And you'll find that the topics that I kind of get jazzed up about talking about more are less about real estate and less about lead generation, because those are really pretty darn easy topics. But they're more about mindset stuff. They're more about how do you transcend going from one level in life or business to another. They're things like this topic today, marketing, and how do you become a better marketer, and trying to fit as much of that into 30 minutes as possible. But we've got a really kick butt 8,000 square foot entrepreneur co-workspace here in our small town of Oregon, Roseburg, Oregon. So if you're going down I-5 in Oregon and you go through Roseburg, hit me up on email before you head through, and stop by. You can see the loft and the Carrot offices, and give you a tour and take you across the street to Draper's Tap House, where we usually spend Thursday afternoons for beer Thursdays. But aside from that, I love mountain biking, traveling, hanging out with my beautiful wife and kids. And we've got one a little kid on the way, a little baby girl on the way in September. So we're really excited about that. So marketing. Let me bounce out of this, guys. Make sure you guys can still see my slides, because every now and then GoToMeeting has a little glitch. So can y'all still see can you guys see my slides that I had launched up there a little bit ago? Okay, cool. Awesome. So marketing, here's a quick little quote that I want to read to you. So it's by a man named Mark Twain. I'm sure y'all have heard of Mark Twain before, but the quote is, "The man who does not read good books has no advantage over the man who cannot read." And I actually put this quote up on my book club of the month page. We're actually reading a book right now that's it's kind of a biography of Walt Disney. And honestly, we're having that book club call tomorrow. And honestly, that book, guys, is probably one of the best books that I've read in my life. And I'm kind of a sucker for biographies of people that I'm inspired by anyway. And this book is really great. It mentions a lot of the business stuff behind the scenes, but also it's a really great book on Walt Disney and how he worked and how he ticked. And I learned a lot of stuff about him. So if any of you guys want to read that book, go to my own personal blog, Trevor Mock at trevormock.com. Sorry, so trevormock.com, and then there's this link up there on the website that you can click. That's for our passionate entrepreneurs book club, and then you'll get monthly notifications of the books we're reading. But the book we're reading right now is called "How to Be Like Walt," and that's a great book. But this quote right here really hit me, and I put that on that opt-in page for our book club. And it says, "The man who does not read good books has no advantage over the man who can't read." And we've all probably heard those quotes out there that say something to the effect of you can judge a man's wealth by the size of his library, or kind of another take on that quote is poor people tend to have big TVs and rich people have big libraries. I know a lot of rich people who have big ass TVs and big libraries too, but I think the key is that the people who are wealthy tend to read more and tend to grow more than people who are not wealthy. And they don't just read anything. Like Mark Twain says, he says, the man who does not read good books, he doesn't just say does not read books. He says the man who does not read good books has no advantage over the man who can't read. And there's a really big differentiation there between just that one word in there, good books, and versus just regular books. Because there's a lot of people that I know who read books all the time, and they read, these, they're reading romance novels. They read five of them a month, and that's all that they read. Not knocking on romance novels at all, but you're probably not growing as a person much if you're just reading that type of fictional stuff. So fiction is great to fit in there, but we also need to be reading great things that help us grow as a person. Help us learn new skills, help us realize what's inside of us and how to bring that out, things like that. And here's a little kind of thing before we dive into the actual marketing thing. But like I said, it's not just about reading books or buying courses or reading the right articles online or reading any magazine. It's all about reading and learning the right things and removing the distractions that don't matter. There's all kinds of things on marketing that we can be learning, guys. There's all kinds of things in real estate that we can be learning. And one thing that I learned, this is back in 2008, and this is kind of why I took my first website, thereibrain.com, in this direction. Was I really realized that when I was in my own journey back in 2003, 2004, of just getting started in real estate investing, that I found that there was one big thing that held me back personally from actually getting going and really growing things. And that was simply that I was focusing too much on the tactics. Okay, I was trying to learn anything and everything that was tactical in real estate. How to do this negotiation, and what if this seller says this. I was trying to learn all this stuff first. But what I really needed to learn at that time was the mindset stuff. So for me at that time, I was learning the wrong things, but I was really learning a lot, but I wasn't getting anywhere. So just like this picture shows, there's all these decisions that we can make on reading and learning the right things at the right time and removing the distractions that don't. And if you're reading things that are not fulfilling and that aren't really going to get you directly from where you are right now to that very next level, then that's kind of a distraction. It's a filler, just like that cake in her left hand is a filler. It might taste good and be great at the moment, but it's not going to help her be more healthy. It's not going to really satisfy her in the long run. It's not going to help her reach her goals. But instead, making that tougher decision to focus in on what it is that she actually needs, nutrition and nourishment, she's going to eat the apple. So what does your bookshelf look like? Here's a little quick snapshot of one of my bookshelves in my office. And the funny thing is, the right side of this bookshelf, which you can't see most of the books, but the right side of this bookshelf, those are all books that I've read. The left side started off being ones that I hadn't read. Now I've been knocking them down. So probably about half of the books on that the left side. Like I said, there's books both above and below this picture. You can't see them, and to the right. But most of those books on the left side I haven't read yet. So I've always got a bunch of books that I got a recommendation from a friend who's successful, saying, "Hey, you need to read this." Or I read an article that really pointed out this great book that maybe I don't need to read it right then, but I can totally see that it might be of big value to me when I need it. So really start to build up that library, guys, and force yourselves to read at least a book a month. And I'm going to show you guys some really great books that I would recommend if you want to become a better marketer. And I know Doug on this call, Doug started a book club himself, kind of modeled after one that I started a few years ago this last month. And I was bummed because I didn't didn't get through the book, as Doug knows, and I wasn't able to make the call. But I'm going to make it a point to make it on more of those book club calls, because right now that's my third book club I'm a part of, and right now I'm reading 2 books a month. Um, and the way that I read, I don't read every word most of the time if it's a nonfiction book. With this Walt Disney one, I'm reading every word of it because I'm really, really interested in it, and just kind of wrapped up in the story. But books like Good to Great, like you see there on the shelf, or Stand Out, or The Irresistible Offer, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit. Books like that, I usually skim, and then once I find a spot, something that really interests me on that paragraph, then I'll go read the full paragraph. So I can read decently fast. But here's some must-read marketing books I'm going to get this call kind of started with that that they're must-read in my mind. And if you truly want to free yourself from relying on others for your income ever again, here's some books to start with. So it's kind of funny, kind of giving you a glimpse into my marketing education. So this would have been back in 2006 is when I really started to read my first marketing books. 2000, end of 2005, maybe started 2006. And I graduated college in 2005, and we moved up to Portland. My wife and I, we got married after college, and we moved up to Portland, Oregon, where she was getting her master's degree. And I gave myself a year to get things figured out. I gave myself a year I said, I'm not going to get a job for a year. I'm going to figure this real estate thing out. By that time, I'd already bought a couple properties, but I'm going to figure this real estate thing out, and I'm going to start a marketing consulting company because I'm a buy and hold guy, and I didn't have enough properties, of course, to be uh, to make enough money cash flow wise to really live on. So I needed another income, but I didn't want to go get a job. And within the first 4 or 5 months, I thought I knew what I was doing in marketing because I got a marketing degree from college, and I realized pretty darn quickly that I had no clue what I was doing in marketing. I dove in and started learning everything I could, and I came across this guy named Mark Joyner, and he's still around. He still writes stuff. But I came across this guy named Mark Joyner, and he was a former military guy, learned some stuff, and then became insanely successful as a marketer and an entrepreneur. And now he's got a software company and all kinds of stuff, and he does really well. But I opened up this book. It's called The Irresistible Offer: How to Sell Your Product or Service in 3 Seconds or Less. Now, that title is kind of hypey, but when I really dug into the content of the book, it made it made selling and it made marketing make a lot more sense in my mind because before I was just doing what everyone else was doing, right? So I would look at what the competitors of my clients were doing. And I'm like, hey, I kind of like that. We'll just emulate what they're saying in their postcard, or we'll just emulate what they're saying in their website because it must be working for them, right? And that's mistake number one: is never look at what your competition's doing and copy them because number one, you don't know if it's really working for them. I know a lot of people who are doing tons of pay-per-click marketing, and they're just spending the money because it's there to spend, and they're not tracking results, and they're not making things better, and they're not testing their ads. So if you were to copy that competitor's pay-per-click ads because they've been up for a long time, you might be running down a rabbit hole that's going to cost you a lot of money. So that was kind of lesson number one: is don't copy what the rest of your market is doing directly. Kind of make your own tweak. Okay, you've got to stand out. And this book is kind of a beginner level book. So if you're just starting to learn about marketing, or even if you know a good bit about marketing, this book, guys, can be an excellent primer for you on really how to create an insanely great and compelling offer that sells. How to make the offer so irresistible to your prospect that they see the immense value in it and want to buy it immediately. So you can get this book on Amazon, $8, $9, something like that. It's an insanely quick read. And this is kind of where I would start. And I would really recommend that everyone read this, no matter if you're a beginner or an advanced person. If you read it and most of the stuff you already knew, awesome. Give that book to someone else that's around you that could benefit from it. They'll learn a lot from it. So that's number one: is you need to learn how to put together a great offer that is compelling, that makes people want to join. So here's another book. This one right here, I didn't read this one, guys, until about 2 years ago, 2.5 to 3 years ago. And this isn't really a marketing book per se, but uh, what this book talks about basically was the main missing element that I had that I hadn't figured out that first year as an entrepreneur. But when I figured it out, that's really when things started to change in my world. That's really when money started to come in at a quicker pace. That's when it was easier to make money. That's when I stopped really going after people and selling them, and they started coming to me, which was really cool. And just kind of continuing that story in my marketing education. I got the irresistible offer. really learned about that. So that was kind of an intro into how to really create an offer and create something that sells. And that can be anything. That could be your offer for buying someone's house. That could be your offer on creating an education product online. That could be your offer in your insurance company that you also have on the side, or whatever it is. But then the second book, it's also kind of a beginner level book in my mind, but has an advanced mindset to it. So this is something that I recommend everyone to read. Also, no matter if you're advanced marketer or successful or anything, I think everyone should read this. And like, so why I like it, it's the main missing element. It really it This is a story, so it's a fictional story, but it really goes through and illustrates some crazy important uh, mindset shifts that we all really need to make in order to provide more value to this world and earn a better income. And the basic premise behind this is there's too many people out there that are always trying to sell, thinking about themselves first. And that's the way that I was. I was out there. I was going, man, I need to pay my bills. I need to pay my bills. So, I need to pay my bills. So I was just going to go out and try to get any clients that I could. And of course, what was on my mind was how do I get, how do I get stuff for me? How do I get income from me? And when I was going into talking with clients with that mindset, it was really hard to get people to say yes, because I wasn't talking about what's in it for them very much. I was really just hitting on a bunch of elements, but deep down in my core, I wasn't serving them. I was trying to serve myself. And as soon as I kind of hit this wall, about 6 to 7 months into that first year that I decided not to get a job and try to figure this entrepreneur thing out, about 6 months in, I realized that, while I had some consulting gigs, they weren't really paying much of the bills. It was about $1,000 a month is all I was making, then plus some cash flow for my properties. But once I got in so far as going, man, I kind of hit this brick wall, and I said, what I'm doing is not working for me, and I'm working my butt off, trying to do all this stuff, and I'm not really making any money anyway. So why don't I just go out and find people that I really admire in this area, and I'm just going to go out and see how I can help them for free, like, because I'm not really making much money anyway. So what's it going to hurt, right? So I just went out to the top few people in my area who I wanted to get closer to and who I really admired. And I just started giving them free advice. I started helping them out for free. I started doing little things here and there, not asking for anything in return because I was learning in the process. And what happened was one of those people who wasn't paying me at first said, "Hey, you know what? I really love what you're doing, and do you want to do some more work for me?" And I said, "Heck yeah!" And he goes, "But you're going to get paid this time." So that essentially went from $1,000 a month with the client to now this guy wanted to pay me $2,000 a month for some work. So, and that was all because I switched my mindset on how I was approaching business and how I was approaching my clients, from how do I get this thing to what is the biggest value I can provide to this person without even thinking about myself at all. And and as soon as I made that mindset shift, that's been one of my guiding principles in every single business that I've started. I mean, shoot, like you've seen that note down there. This is one of the reasons that I do these mastermind calls for free. I mean, I love doing them. I think they're fun. And there's a lot of advanced stuff that we'll go into in some of these mastermind calls that are well worth 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times what you're paying per month for the software. But I really love providing value, and I love going out there and helping people reach their goals and not asking for anything in return, because I know in the end it's going to come back to me. So if you can shift toward that mindset, it's going to make doing deals in real estate a lot easier. It's going to make closing sellers. It's going to make um, making income and whatever it is that you're wanting to do a heck of a lot easier. So the Go Giver, go to Amazon and buy that one as well. Quick read, and that's going to be one that if you have people that you care about who are really struggling in business or whatever, you need to give them that book. It's in my mind, it's a must read. It's a magical book, really. Okay, so now we're kind of getting more into the advanced and intermediate level. So after I made those mindset shifts and how I'm going to approach people, and really looking at how I can help people first rather than looking at how I can make money first, and then money started to come in, then I said, I need to get to be a better marketer now. And somehow I stumbled on, I don't remember how it was, but somehow I stumbled on this guy named Dan Kennedy. This is probably back in 2007 now. I stumbled on this guy named Dan Kennedy. And who on here has heard of Dan Kennedy? Just kind of curious. Yeah, Lindsay, the Charge, the book that was on my bookshelf there, the Charge, that is an awesome book, crazy awesome book. Um, okay, okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of people who have heard of Dan Kennedy, Corey, No BS Sales Success, great stuff. Love him. Yes, I have. A lot of people. Adrian Nez is an awesome marketer. He's been a long time Carrot member, and he's actually a guy I mentioned in last week's Mastermind call that we're going to be working together. We're putting it together right now, where he's been working with already with some of our most successful members. Brittany Bowling, he was kind of the inspiration behind Cindy Dumeyer and some other ones. And with Adrian, we're actually going to package a program where he's going to dive in and do the work for a certain amount of members. Um, so we're really excited about that. So Adrian has heard of him, but has not read or listened to him. Um, okay, Scott Higgins is a member of GKIC, which is Glazer Kennedy Insider Circle. Okay, Darren, great marketer. Awesome. So a lot of people have heard of him, a lot of people have read him, and some haven't. But he's got this entire series of books, guys, called the No BS line of books, basically. So here's three of them that I grabbed. I haven't read all of them. Maybe read three or four of his. He's got a ton of them, but he's got No BS direct marketing, No BS wealth attraction in the new economy, No BS trust based marketing, the ultimate guide to creating trust in an understandably untrusting world. He's got No BS time management, No BS management for your company, like all kinds of stuff, guys. And he goes over some pretty advanced topics. Some of them are kind of more intermediate, and some of them are basic ones as well. And the reason I like Dan Kennedy so much is he tells it like it is, and he's one of the best direct response marketers and entrepreneurs that I've ever seen. And he cuts to the chase on what will get results without bowing down to to what the experts say. And his stuff was always based off of real world results. And like I say here, he really shows you how to deliver marketing messages and be more an effective person at work. And I joined GKIC, like Scott has. It's called Glazer Kennedy Insiders Circle, and it's a newsletter. And I joined that. Shoot, I joined that. That would have been back in 2007. I joined that newsletter at that time. I'm not sure what the price is now, but it was $29 a month just for the basic membership, just to get the newsletter. And that newsletter was kind of one of my Bibles for about 3 years, guys. I was a member of that newsletter for 3+ years, maybe even four, shoot. But I canceled it about a year and a half ago because I was just getting piles and piles of these newsletters stacking up in my office, and I was literally like a year behind. So I canceled it, and I need to get through those newsletters. But as I was really learning about marketing and reading these newsletters each month, they give you examples of successful marketing campaigns in all different kinds of businesses. They give you really good marketing mindset shifts that you can make in your life and business to be more successful and effective. And the things that I really love the most were kind of the swipe and deploy kind of things. And what we mean by swipe is you see something that's working great for a business in one market, and you emulate that and bring it over and try it for your marketing in your business. And they have a lot of different campaigns, and he's really big on direct mail. So if you're doing direct mail, you should definitely read a lot of Dan Kennedy stuff. He's got a No BS on direct response, No BS on direct mail, I believe. And awesome stuff, guys. So buy a few of these books and read them up. And there's you cannot go wrong reading Dan Kennedy stuff. And Dan Kennedy is the guy who has influenced a lot of the successful direct response marketers out there in the world. I mean, if you look at a lot of if you want to call them that, but marketing quote unquote gurus out there, a lot of them were inspired or directly educated by Dan Kennedy. And it's just insanely great stuff. You don't have to agree with his opinion on things. I happen to agree with most of the stuff he says. But if you don't happen to agree with it, no big deal. Just look at the marketing elements. And this right here alone, if you just learn to become a better direct response marketer based off of Dan's teachings, that right there can totally change your world and change your business. So I'd highly suggest that. And while I'm going through these, I've got a couple more books, but while I'm going through these, don't get overwhelmed in thinking that you've got to buy 5 books and read them all at once. Okay. Like I said, I read these books, guys, over years period. And I only read about 2 books a month right now. Um, and I read stuff usually when at the time when I need to learn about that. So if you're not getting leads, or you want to get more leads and more of the right leads, and you already know how to negotiate, you need to start learn how to market better. So now might be a great time to read these kind of books. And then if you hit another issue, let's say you're getting leads now, but you're not able to close the deals because you're not a good negotiator. Now you need to get a book or get an education source on negotiation. And I kind of follow this practice called just in time learning. And I learned about this in 2008 because a lot of us get really caught up in learning everything we can because we might eventually use it in the future. And that's called just in case learning. I'm going to learn this just in case I need it in the future. And that's one of the fastest ways, guys, to get bogged down in information overload is by learning everything just in case you may need to use it someday. Switch that mindset over into just in time learning. Look at what the obstacle is or opportunity is that you have in front of you right now, and learn what you need to learn to get past that or to take advantage of that opportunity, and that only. Okay, once you get past that, go, okay, what do I need to learn now to get me to that next level? And find those resources and learn those right then. So just kind of make that switch from just in time or just in case learning to just in time learning. And if marketing is what you need right now, then that's what you need to dive into rather than real estate tactics and all this kind of stuff. So here's another one that I read years ago, and this is kind of one of those Bibles for learning creative marketing. It's called Guerrilla Marketing by a guy named J. Conrad Levinson, and it's intermediate to advanced as well. And there's some really great specific examples that they give for you in there that you can use in your business to market. And this can be for any business, real estate, whatever. And like they say in the title, easy and inexpensive strategies for making big profits from your small business. And it's a really practical book, guys. It's really action based, so they'll give you specific ideas and specific things that work. Then you just go out there and try them. And some of the things are definitely going to take you out of your comfort zone because guerrilla marketing is not passive marketing. Guerrilla marketing is not sitting back and just waiting for people to come to you. It's not just simply doing postcards. Guerrilla marketing is getting really creative and going, okay, how can I get inside of my market in a way that my competitors aren't, and deliver them a really compelling message so it breaks through the clutter. Because, like I said, if you're copying it, let's say if you're sending out postcards or letters and you're not getting great results from it, you need to look and see what your competitors are sending out. Talk to some of those sellers and ask them, well, why did you call me back on this letter? Or did you get any other letters? And look at what those letters are. Look at what other people's bandit signs say. Look at what other people's websites say. And that's a big thing, including with Carrot. And that's one of the reasons why we do suggest people that you personalize your website a little bit, get your personality on there and stuff like that. Because if there's 5 other Carrot members in your market and you guys are all ranking well on page one, then you're not standing out from the crowd. Okay, and here at Carrot, we make it insanely easy for you to do that. You can just go in there and edit some content, put some pictures of yourself in there, put some testimonials in there, change your colors. And that could all maybe take 30 minutes, or we can help you with it, and you can really stand out from the crowd. So, Guerrilla Marketing by J. Conrad Levinson. And then here's probably one of the most advanced books, and there's other books that are way more advanced than this one that I'm not going to throw into today's call because they might probably like 2% of the people on this call might be ready for them. If you have already read all these books, let me know through the little chat thing, and I'll point you towards some other really advanced, epic, direct response marketing books that anyone who really wants to become a master in direct response needs to read. But this one right here, it's called Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. And I heard about this same thing as back in 2008, 2009. And don't let the title of the book kind of scare you away. Number one, it's not a deep psychology book like from a college. It's written in a really fun to read format. It talks about a lot of studies that were done and how those studies came out, and just really interesting to read. I love psychology. It's fun. But this is probably the single best book I've read that helps you understand how people think when they're making decisions. Okay, so you can better position what it is that you sell, what you offer, so it's more attractive to people to purchase or to work with you in your real estate business. And like you say in this little sentence, yes, persuasion can be used for evil as well as good. I mean, if you think of Adolf Hitler and some politicians around, and cults and people like that, there's a lot of people that are using influence and using persuasion in the wrong ways, and even a lot of businesses. I mean, if you look at a lot of the health supplements that are out there, or quote unquote health supplements that are out there, and they're touting all these medical benefits that maybe aren't even real, and some people are endorsing them. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can be using in psychology to influence people in a good way or a bad way. So we need to use it wisely for sure. But if for no other reason, guys, uh, to read this book, you'll understand some of the main psychological triggers that people are using on you. Okay, and that's one really cool thing about the book is you'll go through and you'll learn these triggers. And as a great example, it's kind of funny. So when I was in college, and I was looking to buy my first vehicle. So I was driving my dad's Jeep, a 1986 Jeep CJ7 is what this brown one with worn off paint and all kinds. So we had to rebuild the engine 2 times, and I was ready to get my own vehicle. So I went down to the car dealership, and this one happened to be a Toyota dealership because I thought I wanted a little Toyota pickup truck. And I walk in there, and I had no intentions of buying a truck that day, right? I had no intentions of buying a truck. I just wanted to walk in and learn about a truck, just kind of get prices. Because I had no clue. I'd never bought anything in my life that was probably over a couple $100 up to that point. So I walk in there, and I drove the truck and go talk to the guy, and he's using his slick used car salesman stuff on me. And one of the things that he did, which is pointed out in Influence, which I learned years after this happened to me. I remember that situation, and I go, that's what that guy was trying to do to me. And whether he knew that or not, that's how he was trained by his bosses at the car dealership. If you do this one thing, it's going to lead to more sales. I'm sure that guy had no clue what psychological principle or trigger was behind it. But what he did was he took this piece of paper and he said, so okay, what's more important? Of course, he was going over a monthly payment versus cost, and he was trying to hammer me down a monthly payment, and that's a basic thing. But then he said something to the effect of, okay, so if I could get this, if you could walk out of here today with payments under $200 a month, or whatever this number was, if you could walk out of here today with payments under $200 a month, would you buy the truck? And I said, man, I'm not gonna buy the truck today, but yes, that's the amount that I'm looking for. And he took it and he wrote it down on a piece of paper. There was like an actual box there on his fancy little piece of paper that he had. He wrote that phrase in there. He said, "I will walk out of here today with the truck if I can get it for $200." He turned the page around to me and he said, "Just go ahead and sign this." And of course, I'm 20 years old at the time. I didn't know what was happening, and there's an authority figure, a person who was standing between me and a vehicle that I wanted, and he's sitting there in his suit and tie, and he's older than me, so that's an authority figure saying exactly what I said that I would do, but I told him I wasn't going to buy it today, and he said, "Just sign this really quick." Now, that is a principle called commitment and consistency that they go over inside of Influence, psychology persuasion. And let me know, guys, if and I'm going to explain this principle really quick. Now I want you guys to speak up here in a second, but that principle is called consistent in commitment and consistency. That it states that people tend to be consistent with decisions or commitments that they made. So if you say that you're going to do something, or tell someone you're going to buy something, you're more apt to actually do what you committed to. Okay, so they're using this principle in car sales, where they're trying to get you to commit to something. Okay. And then they know once you commit to something, especially signing your name next to a statement, even though that statement's not legally binding, that's totally for psychology. They know if you're going to commit to something, if you will commit to something, even a small commitment, that you're more apt to make that purchase right after that. Okay, so in the end, I did not sign that. I did not walk out with a truck that day, and I did not go back to that dealership because I hated the way that they handled me. But it's funny now. I love that kind of stuff. Now I love shopping. I love shopping for vehicles. I love negotiating. I love doing that kind of stuff because now I know all these principles that are going into this stuff that they're trying to use on me. And like I said, I think they're oblivious to what these principles are. They're just trained by their higher ups that, hey, this is what you need to do. This helps close sales more. But if you really understand influence and really understand psychology, you're going to be almost protecting yourself from falling for some of this stuff. Okay, and but at the same time, you're going to be able to use it wisely and in an ethical manner to help put your great services that truly do help people out there and sell more of it. Because if you truly do have a great service that's truly helping people out, it's your duty to sell that service as hard and as often as much as you can if you're truly helping people out. Okay, so get that book. It's not an easy read, but it's an awesome read, and you'll come out the other end thinking about all kinds of situations that you've had in your life, going, that's what that person tried to do to me, or that's what that marketing thing is, or you'll start to go to websites and go, well, that they're trying to do this, and oh, I get it now. So you're just going to see through all that stuff, and you'll be able to see the facts for what they are, and not the hype that they're using in psychology. So has number one, has anyone on this call read this book, Influence? And I'm going to dive into some more resources, and I'm going to dive into three critical concepts that you should master in marketing. Then we're going to dive into Q&A. But okay, yeah, Adrian, get on some Dan Kennedy, Rob Russell. Exactly. Yeah, Dan Cochran says he says this car sales guy does that in his videos, and he gives me a YouTube. I'm kind of curious. I'm just going to go here. So Dan, he's using that in one of his training videos, trying to get them to use commitment and consistency. Yeah, handling objections. Uh, the customer threatens to shop around. Yeah, this stuff right here, guys, is like master in psychology stuff. But like I said, people can use it for good or for bad, and I think everyone needs to be aware of what these psychological triggers are. And maybe I'll do a whole call on the 9 psychological triggers for, um, for effectively selling. So not only do you know them, so you're not going to be susceptible to them happening to you, but also so you can use them wisely in your business. Um, so those are some books. I'll run through them really quickly again, guys. These are some books that I would highly suggest. And like I said, if you're already an advanced marketer and you want some of the really advanced books around my bookshelf that literally are game changers once you've understood these things, let me know and I'll send you some links. But The Irresistible Offer is a great one for everyone. The Go Giver, that's something everyone needs to read. I read it every year now. No BS books, any no BS book by Dan Kennedy. Just order 3 or 4 of them, and then make it a goal to read one a month. Okay, everyone on this call can read one a month. If we're cutting out the crap in our lives that doesn't really matter, this is a great one. And then, like I said, last, I would not start with this one, but once you have a pretty darn good understanding of marketing, you're starting to make some stuff happen. This will help you understand how people work inside their heads when they're making decisions, and how you can tweak that so it so you can sell more, obviously. but also like I said, in a good way. If you're selling something that's not actually helping people, or that you're truly not confident that's helping people, then you should not be using any of this stuff. This stuff should only be used to help sway people toward truly great solutions for them, and cut through the clutter of the people who are not truly trying to help them. Here's another awesome video. Quick nod your head or raise your hand or put a comment through the thing if you've seen this video. But we uploaded it on our blog today. So if you go to oncarrot.com/blog, it should be the first thing there at the top. And it's called How Great Leaders Inspire Action by a guy named Simon Sinek. And this is something that same thing. This is kind of a more advanced thing. I wouldn't maybe start with this. But one of the biggest things that you can do in your business, once you've got it kind of going, at least, once you've learned how to start to generate leads and things like that, is to really understand, how do you grow a company where your customers love you, your team is all going for the same mission, and you're able to sell your services and products for a lot more than your competitors. And he goes over a lot of examples in here. One of the examples is Apple, and how Apple. I'm sitting here on a MacBook Air. I've got a MacBook Pro sitting next to me. I've got an iPhone. My wife's got an iPhone. I've got two iPods. Like, what is it about Apple that makes me? I've got an iPad that I don't even use. Like, what is it about Apple that makes people buy everything they've got? As soon as it comes out, they buy it, and they want to show other people that they have an Apple device. Like, if you look at if you have an iPhone and you look at your iPhone case, like I have an OtterBox here. On the back of the iPhone case, there's a little circle, okay, around the Apple icon, and this even OtterBox knows that people want other people to see that they have an iPhone, because it's a status symbol, because it represents more than just I have a cell phone. It represents all kinds of things based on Apple's why. What is their big why? Why are they in business? Why do they exist more than just creating phones? And this video really gives a compelling argument for, if you're growing a company, for growing your company and building your marketing around your why more than your what. Okay, so as a great example of that, how we can translate that into real estate. There's a company here in Eugene, Oregon, so about an hour away from me. It's called Gorilla Capital, and if you're to go to Gorilla Capital, you can look at your at their website, and it's nothing special. So they get almost all their deals from auctions. They've got tens of millions of dollars in the bank that they're using to buy properties, because their owner sold a technology company for like $50 million before the uh, the downturn in the economy. So he had a hunk of money in the bank account, and he wanted to do something with it. Okay, so him and his brother decided, okay, well, let's start flipping houses, since we have this big old huge bankroll out of Eugene, Oregon. So now they're one of the largest, if not the largest, property wholesaler in the country. Okay, they're buying hundreds of properties a month right now, out of Phoenix, out of Las Vegas, out of Idaho, out of Oregon, out of Florida. And this is all this little Oregon company. It's one of the fastest growing companies in the country, according to Inc. 500. They're the fastest growing real estate company in the country. And it's an hour away from me. And one thing that they do really well, that I think most other real estate investment companies do not do well, is they really market the heck out of their why. Okay, they really market the heck out of their why in their marketing materials. When you go to their open houses, you can see it on their stuff. When you talk to their employees, when you talk to their people, you talk to their founder. They're not just about going and flipping houses and making money. And that's one mistake that I think a lot of wholesalers especially make, is they're just out there, it's like, I'm just trying to make money. I'm just trying to make money, flipping houses, flipping houses, flipping houses. And there's nothing really inspiring about that. So if I'm a home seller, or home buyer, but if I'm a home seller, and let's say, I've been approached by 5 different people to buy my home, and in every person essentially offers the same service, right? So if you look at cell phones, essentially every cell phone maker out there offers essentially the same thing. You can call someone on it, you can text on it, you can browse the web on it, and you can download apps, right? So they're essentially the same darn thing. But why did iPhone grab so much of the market so fast? away from BlackBerry, away from Android. Of course, Android's growing now. But why do they grab so much of it away so fast? It's because of their big why. It's because they are out there not to just create a great phone, they're out there to change the world fundamentally and improve people's lives through better experience with technology. Because they know that if you have a better experience with technology, creative people are going to make bigger, better things happen with that technology. So that's their big why. If you look at Gorilla Capital, their big why, guys, has nothing to do with flipping homes or the money they're making. Their big why is going into communities and bettering communities by like buying up the whole communities and making them better. And they make that very apparent whenever they're going into stuff. Okay, now can they're doing it at such a big scale? Can they really paint that picture in every single marketing message? And are they doing it totally well across the whole thing? No. But everyone can be finding out what is your big why in your real estate business that you can relay to the sellers, to the buyers, to your private lenders when you're talking to them. So you're differentiating yourself versus the 4,000 other wholesalers that are trying to talk to the same seller. So that why once again could be that you're insanely passionate about communities and how communities are helping, are helping to shape the lives of children. And in some of these bad communities, because the communities are bad and they're run down, there tends to be more crime. There tends to be like go off on all these things. And by you guys going in and bettering those communities, your mission is to help eliminate crime in those communities, to help give better environments for children, to help, you know where I'm going with this, like hone in on what your why is rather than just the money, okay? Rather than just doing the deal. And it also makes it more exciting for you to do business and makes it more exciting for you guys to bring employees into the big why. So one thing that's our big why, and we haven't been doing as good of a job with Carrot marketing it yet because we're still such a new company that we're trying to figure out our get our marketing channels down a little bit better. Then we'll hone the message more. But you've seen it on a lot of our communications. You've seen it in these mastermind calls where most of our calls don't have anything to do with lead generation or the internet. A lot of them have things to do with improving all of us as entrepreneurs, as human beings, and making us happier. Because I know when we really look at real estate and when we really look at websites, like I know that not one Carrot member wants a website. I don't want a website, right? But I know that by having a website, it gives me more reach in my market, which helps me reach more people, which helps me attract more potential customers, which helps me attract more potential revenue and make a bigger impact in people's lives. That revenue feeds directly into my big why and our big why at Carrot, which is to inspire entrepreneurs to make change in their community that's lasting and has impact. And if you look at that, that has nothing to do with real estate. But I'm really passionate about helping all of you Investor Carrot members obviously make money. But my passion is helping you guys realize what's big inside of you, bringing that out of you so you can make a bigger change in your own community and help other people make change as well. And if I can help you guys make that big change in your lives, I know that deep in your core, that's more what you want rather than getting a lead online. The lead online just helps you to make that impact. That helps you to earn income, which makes it easier for you to focus more time on making that impact that you're passionate about. So that's our big why. And we're going to start putting that more and more into our marketing messages. And honestly, I know specifically, I know Carrot members, I know a lot of them by name who specifically say that they are attracted to us and stay with us because we're more than about just earning money. We're more than about just taking your dollar and delivering you a service. We're about really helping you make a bigger impact and have more fun, more fulfillment, and of course more prosperity in your life. So go watch this video. I think you'll get out of it what I got out of it. It's on our blog on carrot.com/blog. So here's three critical concepts. I'm running a little bit long, guys. If there are questions that you guys want to ask, go ahead and ask them. I'll bounce out of here in a second. We've got about 6 more slides. I'll fly through these ones. But if there are questions you have about this presentation, about marketing, about how to tweak your websites to get more leads or traffic, or even if it's, hey, hey Trevor, how do you put a video on your website and make it autoplay? Like, if you have questions like that, let me know. We can dive into those today. So I was thinking, okay, after I give our members some great resources to go and learn from, to kind of change some of those mindsets and hone that marketing skill. What are the three critical concepts that I had to master and that I'm still working on, that have really helped kind of move mountains for me? And like I said, going back to that example, that the thing that empowers me with marketing is, it's not just about marketing. Okay, if you're a great marketer, guys, marketing transcends industries. Okay, marketing, if you're a great marketer, once again, you can grow a great real estate business, you can go start this business, you can do consulting, all kinds of stuff. So you're opening yourself up to all kinds of different opportunities that you would never have if you're just focusing on real estate tactics. Okay, so real estate tactics are needed if you're going to do real estate, but you absolutely need to be a great marketer if you want to be prosperous in life. Okay. There are exceptions to that, where some people invented insanely great products that were just genius, and then they got them to the right person, and that person knew how to market. So either you're going to have to know how to market, or you're going to have someone on your team or very closely that's going to work with you that's going to have to know how to market very well, so you guys can be prosperous. So here's three critical concepts that you should master. So number one is understanding your customer avatar. And the word avatar, I honestly don't remember where I heard it, but basically, avatar is just this blanket term for what is that average ideal person that you want to do business with. Okay. And I know we went over this a little bit in a mastermind call about a month ago on the pumpkin plan. It's a book that I read that really helps you hone in on that ideal customer and fire every other customer that's not ideal, that's taking your time and costing you money. Um, but you really need to understand who it is that your ideal customer is. And there's some different things that can help you do that. And you're going to want to write these down. And then I've got a quick little 5 to 15 minute exercise for you that you can do after this call. It'll give you so much clarity, guys and gals, on who it is that you're talking to and how you're going to market to them. So every single person that you're doing business with has certain fears. They've got two sides to them, just like this picture shows. So if you're working with motivated sellers, every motivated seller has these two sides in their consciousness. Okay, they have fears, they have frustrations, they have problems. Those are things that you need to address and hopefully provide solutions for. And also on the other side of all that fear, all the frustration, on the other side of those problems, they have different wants and desires. They have aspirations in their lives that they want to reach. They have a desired outcome somewhere in their brain, even if they haven't written down goals. They have a desired outcome that they want in their life and in that situation. And when you can really understand who that customer is and know their fears, so motivated seller, on this call, guys, just start naming off some of the stuff. Start naming off. Um, yeah, Doug, awesome, man. Thanks for hopping on. Yeah, we'll chat in a couple weeks. Yes, Michael, this one is being recorded. Okay. So, um, I love you guys' feedback, guys. So, for motivated sellers, we'll kind of run through this together. What are some of the fears that a motivated seller may have? Just start putting them in here. Yeah, Kendra, I can see the comments for sure. I just haven't. There's so many comments in here. I haven't had a chance to read them all. So, what are some fears that motivated sellers have, guys? I'm just going through some. Okay. Okay, guys. Looks like a lot of people want some more of the advanced stuff too. Cool. Yeah. So here's some fears, guys, that the sellers have. They want a fair price. Michael, thanks, man. Loss of a family home. That you're going to rip them off. Uh, they want to make sure the buyer performs. So the seller want to make sure that you can actually close on the deal. That they're not going to be that they're and that's not. So that's like a surface level fear that they want to make sure you perform. But if we dig deeper, Michael, um, let's see. Yeah, if we dig deeper on that, Michael, what is it that they're scared about of if you're not performing? Okay, so it could be that they're going to have to pay another mortgage payment. That if they don't, if they pay that mortgage payment, it's it's taking money off of out of their family's bank account or off of, food off their table because they're running slow on money. If you're not able to perform, maybe that stops another potential buyer from buying the property. Then they're stuck with this property for longer. If you're not able to perform, they might actually go into foreclosure and have their credit hit and be out in the streets and not have a house or money to walk away from. So really dig deep on fears and get away from just the surface level ones. Yeah, Adrian. So not being able to sell if they need to move fast. Um, they want it to be painless. They're over leveraged and not being able to sell. So once again, Scott, kind of dig into that fear. What does being over leveraged? What are they scared about with being over leveraged? That they're going to not only lose one house, but they're going to lose two because they can't make their payment on their other house, or their credit's going to be ruined. Which, if their credit's ruined, now they can't co-sign for a loan with their child who's going into college. Now their child can't go to college. Like, if you really think through these things at a really deep level, this is the stuff that we need to understand about our customers. Um, they want it to be painless. Yep, yep. Two house payments. The same thing, Brenda. That's a result of the fear that the two house payments is the crux of it. But what is the fear of having two house payments? Um, it's not that they have two house payments. It's that maybe the wife lost her job or the husband lost his job. Now they have two house payments. They have three kids. They've got one kid that's going into college. They've also got two car payments, and they've got, deep down inside, they've got this pride because one of the spouses, their father was all went through bankruptcy, and then that person said, I'm never going to go through that myself, and now they're being faced with that situation. So, like, that's the kind of stuff that we really need to dig into, is get past these surface level things and really understand what is it that our customers afraid of. So what are some of the frustrations, guys? Yeah, Rob, they don't want others to know their problems. That's a huge one. So that's pride. That's that's confidence, basically. Um, Adrian, we buy houses being too good to be true. Yeah. So right there, that's the whole ripoff thing. So reputation. So what are some frustrations, guys? A lot of these kind of overlap a little bit, but shoot through some frustrations that people have about if they're a seller. What are some frustrations? I can just name a few right now. That they don't want to work with the real estate agent because they don't want to pay the fee. That's a frustration. Like, I don't want to pay the fee or can't pay their fee, and I really don't know what to do, so I'm frustrated. Or I need it to yeah, dealing with tire kickers, Rob. So that's a huge frustration. So that's something you need to deal with when you're talking to a seller. I understand that there's a lot of investors out there, or people who call themselves investors out there, who might have contacted you, and you've probably seen the stuff in the news. And honestly, because getting into real estate is decently easy, there's a lot of people who are saying they're investors but aren't. And you've probably come across some people who are tire kickers, or if not, you probably will. And here's why I'm not, and here's what I can do for you so you're confident in me. Jamie, so this is a great one, actually. One second. Okay. So let me address this here in a bit, Jamie. So problems, same thing, guys. What are some of the problems that a motivated seller is going through that you can address when you're talking to them, that you can address in your marketing, on your website, and your postcards, things like that. And then on the other side of it, so what I usually do is I address both of these things. So you got to understand your customer at a very deep level, and then you want to address both of these in your sales presentation. So on the other side of that is, yeah, you address their fears, you address their frustrations, you address their problems that they're having, and show how you can help. But you also paint them a great picture for how they can achieve what they're wanting to achieve by working with you. You paint a great picture in their mind for their aspirations. So sit there and talk with them. Say, hey, what is it that you really, really want after this transaction? Let's not even think about this house. What is it that 2 years down the road? What is it you want your family to have and to be doing and to achieve? And get them to start thinking about that stuff. Get them to start telling you about what it is that they aspire to be and to do in life. Okay, what is their desired outcome of this transaction and their desired outcome of their efforts in life, and how is it that you can paint them a bigger, brighter future and also help them eliminate those fears, frustrations, and problems? Because if you're able to get their house out of the way that's causing these fears, frustrations, and problems, it's going to make it easier for them to achieve these desires, the wants, their aspirations. Yeah, exactly. Rob says no. Rob says nobody is really listening to them. So that's what we're saying here is if you really understand your customer and write all this stuff down, guys, like think of who your average customer is, or think of who your ideal customer is, and think insanely deeply, like we're doing here, and write their frustrations at a very deep level, like I've been talking about, their fears at a very deep level, their problems at a very deep level. Write down their wants and desires at a very deep level, their aspirations, their desired outcome. And these are things that you want to talk to them about. Because like Rob was saying, nobody's listening to them. And if you're asking them these questions and getting them to tell you their fears, frustrations, problems, getting them to tell you what they want, what they really aspire to in life, and why this house is getting in the way, and what their desired outcome is, then all you have to do is what I'm going to show in the next two steps is you just got to educate them on what to do next and how you can help them. Okay. Um, Sharon, awesome. This is recorded, but Sharon says I have to run look at a house. So awesome. Okay, guys, so let me plow through here. So, who is that ideal customer? What questions are they asking? What problems, fears, frustrations, like I said, what wants, aspirations, and desires do they have? And some questions that customers have, some frustrations, questions, fears, problems, stuff like that. What are you trying to sell me? So we need to be very clear on what it is that you're trying to sell them. And if you think that you're selling them buying their home, that's not what you're trying to sell them. So we get really clear on what it is that you're trying to sell them. And that's where the logical side of their brain kicks in. Okay, what is it that actually you're actually trying to sell me? Okay, you're selling me a service where you're going to essentially take my house out from underneath me. Not take it out from underneath me. That's a bad way to put it. But you're going to basically you're going to take this problem house off of my hands, and it's not going to cost me anything, and out of my pocket, and it's going to be quick. And you're selling them a service to eliminate that problem property. Okay, the way you happen to be doing it is you're purchasing it from them or wholesaling it, of course. How much? So the next thing that kicks in their mind is, well, how much is this going to cost me? That's another logical thing, and then you address that. Well, actually, we're not real estate agents. We're actually buying the property, and we do not charge any fees. We do not have any service fees or anything like that. We're actually purchasing the property. And the way that we make money, because we are a business, of course, the way that we make money is we actually take the property, we repair it, we improve it on our own dime. You don't have to spend a dime to do that after we purchase it, and then we go out there and fix it up and hopefully sell it to another homeowner who really loves that property. And then we basically take what's left in the middle. But the beautiful thing about it is that you don't have to do any of this stuff. We'll take it off of your hands, and we do all the work, and we just pay you money. So you need to address that. Why should they believe you? This is one of the biggest problems I think a lot of newer investors have. And it's not really a problem, it's more of a mindset limitation. It's that because they haven't done a deal or haven't done a deal like that one, that they don't feel that they're qualified, or they don't feel that a seller would trust them, okay, or believe them that they could solve it. So I'm going to show you on the next phase in step two how even if you're a newer investor, how you can overcome this part of why should they believe you. But if you have experience, then that's where testimonials come in, case studies of other people that you've worked with. So rather than just having them on your website, do like Rob Russell, who's on this call. He's an investor here out of Oregon, like they do, and they print out some of their case studies. I believe you have this on your credibility packet, Rob, I think. But they print out case studies and they're showing that to the sellers as they're talking to them. Hey, here's Martha and Bob. They had a house in Sherwood, Oregon. Here was their problem. They had two houses, and they one of them was inherited and they couldn't pay the payment, and whatever it was. And here's how we helped them, and just kind of walk through some things. So that's really building the believability. If you have not done a deal, then go out there and get some credibility testimonials. So get a testimonial from your mortgage broker, from your real estate agent, even if it's the one that you just bought your house from your insurance agent, from your boss, from the teller at your bank, from your business bank, or whatever it is. Just get them to give you character testimonials. So, hey, we've been Sally's banker for 8 years. We like her a lot. She's always pleasant and great to work with. Martha from Wells Fargo. That right there is a great credibility testimonial that shows you as a person. And then your expertise in real estate, of course, is another way that they believe you. And then this is the biggie, guys, is out of all of this, understanding your customer. If you really understand your customer, you can really position in their mind an insanely compelling offer on what's in it for them. Okay, what is it that with this whole service that you offer, or even on the cash buyer side, if you're trying to work with cash buyers, and what's in it for them on the emotional side, it's not that they want to buy a property. No one wants to own property. Property is a burden. No one wants to own property. Um, People want the result of property ownership when it's profitable. Okay, that's what they want. They don't want a property. I don't want properties, but I love the result of owning a property when it's profitable. And that result is it puts money in my bank account with less of my work, so I can work less. So I'm building more wealth without thinking about it. So I have more freedom of time. So if you can paint that picture in your cash buyer's mind on why it is that working with you guys helps them get more peace of mind and more time freedom by investing their money with you because they're great properties, because they're profitable properties, that's the what's in it for them. What's in it for a seller is that they don't have to do anything. They don't have to fix up their house. They don't have to list it with an agent. They don't have to go through 6 months of listings and showing it to 14 buyers that all say it's too much. They don't have to go through waiting for their buyer to find a bank loan and then that fall through. Okay, what's in it for them is peace of mind that this is going to get taken care of fast. It's fair, and if possible, it might even put some money in their pocket. Okay, so that's what's in it for them. It's going to relieve their frustration and their problems. So, quick exercise after this call, guys. Take 15 minutes and write down your ideal customer's fears, just like we've gone through. Write down their questions that they're asking in their mind. Write down their problems, their frustrations. Okay, write those stuff down. Then on the other side of the paper, write down what your sellers want. What your private lenders want. So if we're talking about private lenders, do the same thing. Write down your private lenders' fears, their questions, the problems, the frustrations they're having, not necessarily on private lending, but on the result of what they're wanting to get with private lending. So if they're not getting good returns with the stock market, what frustrations are they having there? That the stock market's unpredictable, that they don't understand it, that their stock broker is only incentivized by the size of his portfolio, not their returns. So they're frustrated um, that their desires and needs are not in a line, and they want to work with someone where your outcomes are directly in line. Um, their wants and desires, that they don't want to have to worry about their investment. They don't want to have to be thinking all the time about where they're going to put their money because it's only earning 0.5%. They don't want to have to work forever and have the money sit in the bank account. They would rather have money working for them so they can retire quicker, so they can do more things with their life, so they can have more time freedom, so they can quit their job. Um, these are the things that they want. So write these things down. If you really understand your customer, your sellers, your buyers, your private lenders, your tenants, it's going to make your marketing so much more effective because you're going to start putting that stuff into your messages now. Start put that stuff on your website. Start to put that stuff in your postcards and your letters when you're talking to them. It's that right there could double or triple your business if you take 15 minutes and write that stuff down and get insanely deep about it. Like I said, not just that their frustration is they're not earning good enough money. Like, what is that frustration at a deep level? Okay, why are they frustrated about not earning enough money in their returns? Because they want to retire earlier because they don't want to work until they're 75 years old. Because they saw that their dad worked until he was 75 and drove himself in the ground and ended life early because he wasn't and he wasn't happy and he was broke, and like that's their frustration, their problem, their fear. And how do you solve that? So the next step after you really understand your customer, guys, so your sellers, buyers, I guess before we go on, guys, and I know this is running longer than normal, but um, are you guys liking this stuff? Is this stuff too deep? I know Rob says he's loving it. Is this stuff too deep, guys? Is it hitting you? Are you guys getting some good action items? I know this isn't really probably what you're expecting on how to become a master marketer. You're probably expecting, hey, take this postcard and do this. But wouldn't it be beautiful if you didn't have to rely on some guru to get that postcard? But if you could understand your customer really well and write that postcard yourself, or find someone who could do it for you that really hit on these elements and crushed it, and no one else in your entire market was using that postcard because you didn't get it from a guru. Like that's the power of this. And uh, let's see, guys. Awesome. There's some awesome comments on here, but is this going over anyone's head? I guess is it too deep? Yeah, Roy, it's good stuff. How to win people, and that's the thing. It's how to win people, but in an ethical and ethical way. Kip, this is non-techie, so I totally understand it. Adrian says this avatar concept is amazing. Michael, yeah, it's a good philosophies would like more nuts and bolts. Cool. Yeah, Martha, it'll help me overcome my fears. Yeah, Michael, on the nuts and bolts side, I think the first thing, I mean, if you've already done this, awesome. If you haven't done this, but the first thing on nuts and bolts, like this is nuts and bolts right here, is going through and really crazy clearly defining that customer avatar. Because you're not going to know who to market to. You're not going to know what marketing message is going to work. You're not going to know what ads to put out there and in what places. So one of the things that we do once we figure out our customer avatars, we think, okay, where do people like this hang out? Because now we know exactly who they are. Where do people like this hang out? Who do they talk to before they talk to us? And then that's where we know where to market. So this stuff is completely nuts and bolts right there. And it might sound like it's really simple stuff, but like I said, I've taken ideas and concepts that were not doing very good, and I went through and took a lot of time really figuring out that customer avatar, and then crafted our marketing around that, and it crushed it. And Carrot is a great example. We're totally redoing some of our marketing around some new insights we found around our ideal customer avatar. So the next month, you're going to see some things change. At least new customers are going to see some things change. But we know our care avatar like down to a T. We know the average age that our ideal customer is. We know the average income our ideal customer makes. We know the average problems, frustrations, fears our average customer has. We know the average wants, desires, and aspirations that they have. And that's one of the reasons that we talk about a lot of this stuff, mindset stuff, personal growth stuff on these calls, because I know from talking with a lot of our ideal customers that stuff is stuff that they need in their lives. And so that's why we talk about a lot of it. It's really, really cool stuff. So the next step, guys, is once you really know who that target ideal, that avatar is. So like picture even a real person in your mind. Okay, like put a face, a name to that avatar. Okay, put a face and a name to that avatar, to that seller that is the person that's that ideal. So when you're writing your ads or you're writing your pages or you're doing a video, you're talking to that seller. Okay, that person who is probably in this age range and probably has gone through these things and probably is in this income range and might have gone through these things, and that might be why they're selling. um, that kind of thing. So next, once we know that, how do we actually deliver that message to them? And for me, it's educate rather than sell. And here's a great quote that I heard. I read in a book actually, but this guy named Robert Collier, and he's one of the most famous kind of publishers and copywriters from back in the day. And he said a quote that I've heard a lot of great marketers mention, but it's basically says, "Join in on the conversation the customer is already having in their mind." Okay, so join in on the conversation the customer is already having in their mind. So this is key because once again, we need to know our customer avatar. We need to know who our customer is, what their fears are, frustrations, wants, desires, all that stuff. So we know what's going on in their mind. Because if we're able to deliver a marketing message on our website or in our postcard or on a video or talking to them in person, it's our job to address those things to them first before they bring them up. Okay, so you're sitting there talking with the seller and say, hey, great meeting with me, or I really appreciate you meeting with me. I'm sure you're going through a lot right now. I'm sure, and probably a lot on your mind. And And this is probably one of the last things that you want to do, but I know, but you've got to do it. So I really appreciate you sitting down with me, and just start asking them questions, and bring up that stuff. And if you're able to do that, like I said, the way that I like to do it is through education. And two of the best ways recently of how education based marketing rather than selling has worked so well is with Tesla Motors is one, and then with Apple computers is two. And these are two Apple computers at one time. I think they might have been eclipsed recently by another company, but at one time they still might be. Per square foot, they have the highest revenue per square foot retail space in the world. Okay, it's an insane amount of revenue that each store produces per square foot. That's so far and above any other store in the world, that it's not even crazy. Like they outsell all those high end electronics places. They outsell all those high end jewelry places, all the high end Tiffany's. They outsell Tiffany's by like 4 or 5 times the revenue per square foot. And Tesla, the same thing is they're selling direct to consumer. They're not using dealerships, and they're selling cars that are way more expensive than their competitors' cars. They're selling cars that have all kinds of potential problems, like hey, it's an electric car. Where do I? There's a lot less places for me to fill it up or to recharge it versus gas. There's all these obstacles and things that they have to overcome. And and um, and one thing that the founder of Tesla said, and I watched this actually in a video last night. He said basically, we don't hire salespeople. He said out of all of our stores in the country, we don't train anyone who works in our store how to sell, which totally sounds counterintuitive. And there's a lot of real estate courses out there that teach you the 400 negotiation tactics, kind of like those used car salesmen. We're doing all these things to kind of trap a seller into selling their house with you. But Tesla and Apple, the reason they're so effective, and the reason a lot of investors like Rob Russell on the call here, and several others are so effective, is because they educate rather than sell. And they're asking a lot of questions. You walk into a Tesla dealership, you just ask questions, or the person will say, "Hey, do you have any questions?" And then you might ask a question about how this works, or how does the display in the dash work, and they're just going to teach you how it works. They're never going to take you to that next step to say, "Hey, do you want to put down a deposit?" They're never going to take you that next step and say, "Hey, do you want to sign this and commit to something?" They're never going to do that. They let you make that buying decision based on how well their education is. Same thing with Apple. You walk in there, oftentimes you might not know what you want, or maybe sometimes you do, but you see all those blue shirts in that picture down there. Those are all Apple employees. And if you look at them, those people are not hardcore salesmen. Okay, they do not hire salesmen. They hire people who know the technology insanely well, just to educate you on that iPhone, on what it can do, educate you on that iPad, on that computer. And then from there, they just let the education process speak for itself and you purchase. So once you've really discovered your customer's biggest problems and roadblocks, then you just teach them the things to help them get past it. So with let's say a cash buyer, someone you're selling properties to, one of their big roadblocks might be that, hey, honestly, I just really don't know how to manage my property. And so I'm just kind of afraid of buying properties and holding them. And then if you can educate them and give them the resources on that, they're going to feel comfortable with you, and they're going to be more apt to purchase from you. If it's a seller and one of their biggest roadblocks is like, what, I really don't understand how this process works. And Adrian Nez, who's on this call, we talked, this is probably 6 months ago, Adrian, where you mentioned that you called back a lot of the people who were calling your line and leaving messages, or some who even didn't leave messages, and asking them, hey, like, why didn't you leave a message, or what is it that's going through your mind, something like that. And in the two things that I believe that you mentioned to me, was one of them was they just didn't know how it worked. They don't know how the whole process of you as an investor purchasing their home works. So they were just kind of afraid, and they didn't leave a message. And there's a lot of people who won't even call you because they're just not sure how it works, and they don't want to put themselves in the position of being sold. So that's why our websites have a how it works page on it. That's not by accident. Okay. There's a lot of stuff like that we can work into our postcards, into how we're working with people, to educate them, to get them past these hurdles. And also, it's a lot more fun when you're educating rather than selling. It's less resistance and it builds trust at the same time. So if you're just educating them and giving them great information, you're building trust, which really helps to overcome that sale. And the seller actually is the one that decides to work with you. You're not hard selling anything. They will want to buy with you without you having to push the sale. And it's pretty interesting because we do so much education here at Carrot. Even our sales webinar, we've done two webinars that I can remember, maybe three ever with Carrot, and we're going to be doing more as far as sales calls for getting more customers in. But we've done two or three sales webinars ever, and those sales webinars, 98% of them were total education. We did not have this big old huge sales push and like, here it's $12,000 in value, and then bring it down, and then we're adding this and we're adding this and we're adding this and we're slashing the price by 98%. We don't do that in our calls. And the cool thing is, before we even let people know that they can purchase Carrot, we get people on our webinars saying, hey, I want to work with you guys. Where can I pay you money? Hey, can I get this software that you're showing? Even though you're just educating me, can I buy this software? So we're getting people to want to buy stuff from us before we even offer anything to buy, because we're educating first. And then number three is you offer a compelling solution that helps solve their problems. And we talked about that a little bit with that book earlier. And if you can really offer that compelling solution that solves their problems, after you've really identified who they are, so you could deliver those problems, fears, frustrations, wants, desires in the message, and after you've educated them and got them over those roadblocks on things that are in their mind, joining that conversation in their mind. So when you're sitting down with the seller, just have these things ready. I know Rob. Rob is a good friend of mine, known him since I think 2008 or 9. He's an Investor Carrot member. He purchased our Private Money Blueprint course back when I started that company with Patrick Riddle. I, of course, sold my half of the company to him 2 years ago, so I'm not involved in that company anymore. But Rob has he has this killer credibility package where whenever he goes and talks to a seller or a private lender, he's got this package of papers that he's like basically walking through when he's talking with people. He's like flipping like in then there's the how it works page. So before the seller can even bring up the question, well, how does this work? Rob already has that thing prepared, or he's already talked to him about it. So now he's coming across as an expert and a very trustworthy expert. And this is kind of a plug for Rob, guys, but if you let's see here, 1 second here. Okay, if you guys, if you want more information like from some of our Carrot members like Rob, um, I think it's this website. Just that's not it. What is your, is it the Real World Investor, Rob? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, guys. So as an example, Rob, known him for years. He's a Carrot member, crushing it with the rent to own pages and getting his other ones up. But if you don't have a credibility kit, and I don't make any money by referring you over here, but if you do not have a credibility kit for private lenders or for sellers or whatever, go to Rob's website, therealworldinvestor.com, and he's got a product on here somewhere. It's called the Real World Investor, where he basically put in his credibility kits and put in his processes and all this stuff, and how he's getting so much private money for his deals, and how he's finding his deals and his sellers, and how he's negotiating with the sellers and all that kind of stuff. So I believe that he's got his credibility kit templates in there, and that's just going to be a really big thing if you're going to talk to sellers. And also you can put those online, which are really big help. So anyway, okay. So when you're creating that compelling offer, that compelling trustworthy solution for a seller, and the reason I'm saying trustworthy is because there's been a lot of studies on ethics and honesty done over the years. And you can see the ratings at the top here, but nurses, doctors, pharmacists, engineers, teachers, dentists, judges, police, stuff like that have pretty good honesty and ethics ratings. And time after time, at the very bottom of this, guys, this is what we're all up against, okay? At the very bottom of this, car salesman's at the bottom, advertising people for like people who are doing the advertising for big companies or whatever, and then real estate agents. So if you're a real estate agent, I mean, you might already know this, but you've got a huge, huge, huge hill to climb on building credibility and trust with your market. And so, how do you do that? You do that through the things I've already talked about this. But real estate agents, that also, guys, relays over to real estate investors. Okay, with all the news media stuff that's always out there about, of course, the news media always wants to bring out the sensationalist stuff. So back through the big downturn, they were talking about real estate scammers, and they were talking about this and this and that and that, like just a bunch of bad stuff. So there is definitely a trust gap that needs to be bridged between you and the sellers. Okay, you and buyers of your property for sure. You and your private lenders. You can see stockbrokers is right down there toward the bottom as well. Okay, so you really need to create that compelling, trustworthy solution. So number one, you need to be very clear on what it is that you're selling. So once again, you're not selling the seller that you're going to buy their home. You're selling the seller that you're going to eliminate that frustrating real estate problem from them and give them a good, honest, quick result. That's what you're selling. You're selling eliminating that problem, that fear, that financial drain on them. Of course, the way that you're doing that is by purchasing their house. So that's the how. That's the mechanics of it. One thing that that you're gonna have to overcome to build that compelling, trustworthy solution is the cost. So be prepared when you're talking to a seller or a buyer or a private lender to address the cost before they ask about it. So maybe in your credibility kit, you go, hey, and you're probably wondering, what does this cost you? Because of course, if you were to list with a real estate agent, they charge fees anywhere between 3 to 6%, including buyer and seller fees in there. So if you're trying to get $100,000 out of your home, you can just pretty much guarantee that probably about $6,000 of that, maybe a little less, is going to go right out of your pocket to the agent. So if that's something that you can do, and you want to really try to find a retail buyer who's willing to pay top of the market for it, and you're willing to wait, then awesome. Then your real estate agent is definitely the route you want to go. But with us, since we're not agents, we're actually buying the property. It's not going to cost you anything out of pocket. And then once again, explain to them how your business model works. Of course, and because the first thing that they're going to think, well, okay, if it's not going to cost us anything, how do you make money? So you need to address that. Even though a lot of wholesalers, for some reason, want to hide the fact that they're going to wholesale the property for more to someone else from the seller. But in actuality, the sellers aren't dumb. They know you're going to do something with that property. But by you not bringing it up first, then you're not building trust with them. Okay, you're actually lowering your credibility by not bringing kind of that elephant in the room up first. So yeah, bring that up, and once again, like I described it above, hey, in the way that we actually earn income, because we are a business, of course, we're not a not for profit, is by taking the homes, we fix them up on our dime, we figure out what the market wants. We do any repairs, we blah 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 blah, blah do whatever else you're going to say, and then we actually do the work to market that property to a retail buyer. And sometimes we can sell it fast, sometimes it takes us 6 months. So we're the ones that front the bill, the foot the bill on holding the property for that long. So that's the reason that we do need to make a profit, of course, because we are taking on risk. We're putting in money to fix the property. We're finding the buyer. We're doing the marketing, and we make whatever we can make in between that. And as long as we can come up with a fair price that helps you solve your goals and helps you get to XYZ, then there's room in it for everyone. Like just something like that just would totally make it very honest and credibility to the seller. Of course, what's in it for them? So, what is in it for them? Address that in your offer. Quick close. They don't have to worry about doing the repairs. They don't have to worry about listing. They don't have to worry about even cleaning out the house. You'll do it all for them. They get a quick close and cash in their pocket. And why should they trust you? Because basically to show them the credibility of testimonials. Don't say, well, here's why you should trust us. Just inherently show them credibility testimonials, your expertise, case studies, stuff like that, and they will learn to trust you because of that. So yeah, guys, just go out there. I didn't update this last slide like I should have. This is from last week's call. But yeah, just guys, go out there and really become a student of marketing. I'm going to bounce out and answer some questions. I know I ran over quite a bit, so I'm just going to answer the top few questions here. But Yeah. So I guess are there any questions on marketing? Is there something, guys, that you'd like me to dive into deeper on a future call around marketing? Maybe more granular, maybe more nuts and bolts stuff, Michael. So if there's specific stuff, guys, on the marketing side, let me know right now through the questions panel. It could be nuts and bolts on how to put together a compelling postcard, okay, and how to find the right list of mailing that out. Let me know if that's something that would be of value to a lot of people. I'll do that. If it's on how to take all this stuff and how do you present that offer to the seller, then I'll just get Rob Russell on the call, and Rob will walk through his process on how he walks sellers through it with his credibility kit that really eliminates goes over all the things that we talked about with the customer avatar and whatnot. So let me know kind of what you guys want to lead want to use. Michael. So Michael's saying getting organic traffic without pay per click, and this is something I know, Michael, that has come up a lot. I know you've been on a lot of the calls, and it's kind of a recurring issue. And the main thing that I can pass along to you is that is the market, right? So I know we've looked at why you're not getting the traffic quite a bit on your website, and the market that you're in is just so limited that the traffic's not there. So on your end, you're going to have to go after some bigger cities if you're looking at getting organic traffic without pay-per-click expenditures. So you're going to have to create pages on the website or full-on websites specifically for those markets. Do SEO for them. Do some videos for those markets, because we do have a lot of members who are in bigger markets that are getting more searches and stuff like that, who are just crushing it. People who are in San Antonio, Houston, Baltimore, all kinds of different places that are doing really well getting organic traffic and leads. Atlanta, and even some smaller cities that are doing really well with the organic side. But when you're in a smaller city, like we've mentioned, when you're in a smaller city, like a Sonoma County or places around like that, as an example, I'm just going to pull up the Google Keyword Planner real quick. Um, 1 second, guys. So if you're in a smaller area, you're kind of capped by the amount of people searching for those phrases in your area. So you're gonna have to branch out and find some other places. So one of the things that you can do, like right now, I've got this targeting toward just Oregon because I was doing some research. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that targeting. But let's say, Michael, that I'm gonna look at let's say 1 second here. Okay. So Sonoma. Okay, here's some cities. So Sonoma, Santa Rosa. So let's say Sonoma, Sonoma, California. We'll add, and this is just in the free Google keyword tool, guys. So I'll add this one. So Sonoma County. I'm just going to keep it at that. Okay. So I've basically got all of the Sonoma County covered right here. So if I was to do We Buy Houses, so this isn't just on people typing We Buy Houses Sonoma. This is on anyone in Sonoma County or Sonoma City typing We Buy Houses as a geographical phrase. So we're going to see right here in the entire county, just for the broad phrase We Buy Houses. So they might be typing We Buy Houses Sonoma County. They might be typing We Buy Houses some other city. There's only about 10 people in the entire county typing that. This is between all the cities in Sonoma County. And the number in actuality is probably a little bit higher, but not much. Sell my house fast, same thing. Sell house fast, same thing. There's a lot of other phrases that we can look at. Sell home fast, home value, foreclosure, So there's a couple ways, guys. If you're not getting the traffic, the organic traffic that you're looking for, there's two ways to do it. Either you've got to branch out. I mean, number one, you've got to search engine optimize for those phrases. But number two, you've got to branch out to more keywords. So you can do that by writing more articles or more pages on your website that are geared toward that, or branch out to more locations. So rather than just Sonoma County, do Santa Rosa, do all these other areas. So if we bump this up now, I'm gonna go ahead and do a filter. Let's see, right here. I'm gonna do a filter to uh, I'll do San Francisco County. Okay, so I'm just gonna add that, and it's gonna update it. So you can see now once I started branching over there, now I'm gonna increase the traffic volume by like 400%. So those are the two big things. If you're not getting the traffic, number one, are you ranking? If you are, and you're not getting the traffic, if you're ranking in the top three and you're not getting the traffic, then that means your market's probably too small. And then just dive into the Google keyword phrase and just look really quick. And that means you need to branch out to other cities or locations and/or other keyword phrases with a content marketing plan. So doing a blog post a week that has the phrases in there. And we are rolling out a content marketing program that's going to be semi-automated. So it's not going to be us writing unique articles for everyone, but we're writing about 20 to 30 keyword targeted articles a month right now. And we're going to have a plan within Investor Carrot. It's going to be more expensive, but it's still going to be very affordable. Probably be around $100 a month. Where you can go in there and choose from our stockpile of custom created content that we're writing. It's all written here in the States. It's actually by a writer here locally and one in California that knows real estate very well. On our team, we actually pick out the specific keyword phrases that they're to write articles on. So all of the keyword research comes out of our office that goes to our writers. They write the articles. We localize it with the short codes. So when it goes up on your website, it's going to be how to sell my house fast in Sonoma County or whatever city you're wanting to go in. So that's one way to get a content marketing plan going. Of course, you can tweak those articles. So that will be out here in this next month, we're hoping. But yeah, Michael, I mean, it looks like those are probably the things that, okay, so yeah, so Santa Rosa, the largest city in Sonoma County. Um, yeah, and that's the thing, Michael. That's what we're looking at as the data here. And Google's usually pretty darn accurate with the data. Sometimes it's obviously a little bit off because even when it will show a dash sometimes, we know that there's probably someone typing it, but if it shows a dash, it's not going to be enough to matter, kind of thing. If it shows a 10, that's the lowest that I've seen that the Google Keyword Planner will show uh, in an actual number. Otherwise, they'll just show a dash. Um, so yeah, there's just not a whole lot of traffic volume for those specific phrases. So if you're ranked number one for We Buy Houses Sonoma County, you're probably only going to get it's going to be very low traffic. It's going to be very, very low traffic, and you're going to have to get a lot of traffic from that one keyword to make any leads. So then, like I said, what do? Is you go, okay, what other phrases can we rank for in this specific market, and create content and pages on those, or have someone do it for you, and then go, okay, what other cities and markets can we branch out to do the same thing for? So, as a great example, guys, I use this example last month. If you type up "We Buy Houses," let's try Berks County, Pennsylvania. And I know, Adrian, are you still on this call, man? Let me look. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I know Adrian it has been working with one of our members in Pennsylvania, and there she is actually right there, her website right there, ranking really well for We Buy Houses Berks County. And we've also got, I'm not sure if this is one, two. Yeah. So this is one of our members too. It's actually the same one. So is this work that you've been doing, Adrian, for that customer? Awesome, dude. Yeah, so that's the service with Adrian directly, guys. We're going to be rolling out here shortly, where he's going to take on a few clients at a time and just do this exact work that he's done for her. And he helped Brittany Bowling with their stuff. It's not going to be cheap, but so here's what I'm wanting to show you is, and this is something you could totally do, Michael, if you haven't already. Is this is a customer we launched their websites less than a month ago, and we actually launched 5 sites for them. We're rent to own, 2 seller sites, so one targeting the entire state of Pennsylvania, one targeting just Berks County, and then a main company site. And one of the things that we did is we created those localized pages for his site based on the different markets they're in. So you can see the overall website is called We Buy Houses Berks County. But if you go to the home page is kind of optimized for We Buy Houses Berks County, PA. Okay, for that phrase right there, and it's ranking like we just saw about the top of page 2. That we've got actually 2 pages for this website on the top of page 2, but it's only been about a month. But then when you go back to those individual pages, so I'm going to scroll down here. So right here, we added this tab. So this is an extra service that they paid for our team to do this. We added this little tab in their sidebar, areas we buy houses, and we set up all these localized pages for them. Okay, we buy houses West Reading, Kenhorst, Shillington, Mahonton, Mount Penn, Laurendale, Temple, Sinking Springs, West Lawn. You get the idea. Okay, so each one of these is a separate page that basically we just duplicated the home page. We changed a little bit of content, so maybe 20% of the content, and then we went through and just changed the title tags and the actual URL for the page. So you can see right there, that page is We Buy Houses Wyomissing, PA. Here's what that one's titled. So you can see Wyomissing is all over this page, rather than Berks County, so Wyomissing, if I'm saying that right. Okay, and then the title tag using the SEO tool built into our system was just that: We Buy Houses Wyomissing, PA. Sell your house fast, Wyomissing, PA. Okay, so the cool thing about this, guys, in less than a few weeks, if you go to Google and type up We Buy Houses Wyomissing, you can see right here in number three and number 4 result are this client's. Number 5 result is April's, which Adrian is working on. So these right here, the top, we've got 3, 4, and 5 are all Carrot websites, all Carrot members. This one is the same website. So that's one thing that Google has been opening up lately the past 6 months is you can now rank multiple pages on the same site for the same phrase, which is really cool. So for number 3, they've got the We Buy Houses Wyomissing Hills page ranked and the We Buy Houses Wyomissing PA page ranked. And so now, rather than just banking on We Buy Houses Berks County for the homepage, now they've got 14 other pages out there that are all optimized for other very specific locations. So you can do the same thing in your market, Michael, where you've got Santa Rosa. So duplicate a page, make it We Buy Houses Santa Rosa, CA, and go through and change all the content so it's specifically to Santa Rosa. Okay, and then create another page that's We Buy Houses blah, and do the same thing, change some of the content, and then put a little bar over in the side that is areas that we buy in, and link to those pages. And if you've got 10, 15, 20 of those pages out there for specific locations and cities around you, that's not very hard to do. It might take 15 minutes per page. And you can do a little bit of SEO to them if you want to, but mainly if you just focus on the key stuff, making the URL of the actual page have the keyword in it, making your title tag have the keyword in it, and then changing the location on the page to have that specific location. What we're finding is in those smaller cities like this, Wyomissing and stuff like that, we're getting rankings pretty quickly without doing any SEO, except for just changing the on-page stuff. So yeah, just go out there and create 10, 20 of those, 50 of them, whatever it is. The more the merrier if you're doing them right, and then focus on the ones that are getting the more traffic, and maybe build out some more content for those pages and for those cities. But yeah, just I think for your market, Michael, you just got to cast a little bit of a wider net. What's that? So Michael says the fact that they're listed on the main page does not give them visibility? Question mark. Are you talking about that they're listed down here, the different cities? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So that helps, but the thing is, let's just go ahead and look at this here. So if I hover over this, it's showing the title tag for this page. Okay, so the SEO title. So I'm just going to go ahead and go in here. And guys, if you want to use this multi-location strategy, it does work well. You're not going to be able to create a page. You're not going to be able to create a page just in 5 seconds and have it rank #1 for We Buy Houses Phoenix. That's not going to happen. But if you're doing this to go after different counties, different cities, it's going to help, especially for smaller areas. Okay, so awesome. So you've got ones on Pengrove, Petaluma, Ron Hurt. So this is awesome. Okay, Santa Rosa. So these are all great. Let's see, I'm just going to look at these really quick. Okay. So this is great content, but the big flaw with the way that this is done, Michael, and this will kind of help you out here. The big flaw that this is that this is great content, very localized for those areas, but the titles of these posts and the title tag for SEO on these posts are not titled after things that people are actually searching. So while the content's great and it's localized, it's not going to get any traffic because no one's actually searching 3 things a homeowner needs to know to stop foreclosure in Viejo. But they might be searching avoid foreclosure Viejo, stop foreclosure Viejo, we buy houses Viejo, sell house fast Viejo, sell my house fast Viejo, stuff like that. So what I would do is just as an example, I'm going to go to your home page. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate it right now. And I'm just going to pick Santa Rosa, California, if that's the largest one in your area. And I'm just going to go right here. We buy houses, Santa Rosa, CA. Okay, so We Buy Houses, Santa Rosa, CA is now the URL for this one as well. And then all you'll have to do is just go through here, and we're developing something now that is going to make this a lot easier, guys, for making these pages. It's going to trim the time down by probably like 80%, but it's a little ways out. But for now, what you're going to do is you're going to go through this whole thing and swap it out. So rather than We Buy Sonoma Houses, you're going to make it We Buy Santa Rosa, CA Houses. And then just go through this whole page and do the same thing. So swap out all Sonomas. And one quick, easy way to do that is if you go up to your browser and go to Find, you can go to click Find, type up Sonoma, and then this will basically go through and find all that stuff for you. So Santa Rosa, CA. You mix them up a little bit. One time do Santa Rosa, CA. One time Santa Rosa, and one time Santa Rosa, California. Okay, down here. Same thing here. Okay. Then you'll go down to the SEO tool. So now you're just going to update this. We Buy Houses, Santa Rosa, CA. Okay. Cool. So then we'll swap this one out. So basically we've got this one done now. So if I were to publish, and I'm just going to go ahead and publish it for you, Michael. So I'm just going to go ahead and publish. So the reason that just listing all of the stuff at the bottom, and I would definitely go through and customize this page a little bit more. So maybe add in some specific information to Santa Rosa, potentially maybe edit the bottom 20% just so it's a little bit more unique. But basically now you have a page specifically geared toward a phrase that we know people are typing in for that specific city, rather than content that is titled after things that people are not searching for. So that's the big differentiator there. That you created all these pages, which is awesome, but the titles and the SEO are not done in a way to where they're going to get in front of people because no one is searching the phrase three things a homeowner needs to know to stop foreclosure in Viejo. But they are searching, at least, a little bit. We buy houses Santa Rosa, CA, or Santa Rosa, California. Okay, so now you've got this page up that does that, and you can see it took me about 5 minutes to do that. And I would suggest setting one of these up for every one of those cities, and then we could put a little sidebar over here, that lists all those cities, just like we've done with this Wyoming Missing Hills. And I'm just going to do Ken Horst. I honestly don't know if it's ranked for that one. So you can see right there. So ranked number 2, We Buy Houses Ken Horst, right there. And then right below that is the exact same strategy on a Carrot website, guys. The exact same strategy that Adrian did in this other client. Okay, so it works. It works for sure. I mean, is this client going to get 50 visits a month from this? No, because this does not get searched much. This is probably a 5 to 10 a month kind of thing as well, because it's a small city. Might be a little bit more. But the idea is if you've got pages that are ranked pretty darn well in 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 different cities, then you're giving yourself a better chance to get better rankings. That makes sense, guys? Does that make sense, Michael? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, very good clarification. So Michael says so the content is generic, but you need more to be more specific as to who and where you're targeting. Exactly. Yeah. So the ideal solution is that you would customize the content on this page a little bit more than I did, but I was doing that for time's sake, because we don't want Google to look at it as the same page, just swapping a couple words out. So maybe go through, like I said, and maybe put in a different picture, put in a picture of a Santa Rosa home, or edit a little bit of the stuff. Talk about some specific Santa Rosa. Talk about some specific Santa Rosa neighborhoods. Okay, and even down here you can name some Santa Rosa neighborhoods. So make it so the content's maybe 15 to 20% different if possible. But yeah, all we're doing is just duplicating the page and making sure that we're focusing on the main important elements for SEO: the title tag, the H1 tags, and then just making sure that we have the actual phrases in there that people are searching. So, yep, cool. Yeah, man, it's really easy. It is really easy, but that's why you're not getting traffic. It's because you're being limited to one area that's not getting much searches. But if you can go out there and get great rankings for 30 different little cities like that, then you're going to get a trickle of traffic from each one. But combined over 30, it's going to be enough to be decent. Um, okay, let's see. Yeah, I'll show you guys one last thing. Um, okay, so I'll answer this one last question from Michael, and then we're going to bounce because I know this call ran pretty long, but I'm happy to do it. So yeah, what about targeting Santa Rosa real estate news as a keyword? So that'd be awesome. That would be awesome, Michael. So what if I were to go here, and I'm just going to go to here, and let's just type up real estate news, okay? And I'm just going to see search volume for that phrase. So for that exact phrase, location targeted, so anywhere in Sonoma County or San Francisco County, it doesn't look like a whole lot of people are typing real estate news per se. But let's see. I'm just trying to think of something here. What is it that someone might be typing? So local real estate news. I'm going to go and take out San Francisco County just to remove that. So we're just focused on the Sonoma area. Same thing, not a lot. And like I said, I wouldn't take this for gospel, but it's saying only about 20 people a month in Sonoma County are typing the specific phrase real estate news. But if we type, we'll see if that also gives something. Okay. Da, da, da. Real estate news. Yeah, so one thing you might do, Michael, I actually did this really successfully on one of my sites. Is if you can do like a market update each month, and then you can see right here people are typing real estate news and then the date. Okay, so what if I was to do real estate news? Um, so I just put M, so people are typing real estate news March 2014. So what if I did this? Santa. Okay, Santa Rosa real estate news. So Google just told me right there that people, rather than typing real estate news Santa Rosa, they're typing Santa Rosa real estate news. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here and see if that makes a difference. I still don't think it's going to be much searches, but yeah. So Google comes up with a dash here, meaning not much, but also on the same token, it's giving me that phrase as a suggested search, so we know that there's enough people searching it every month that Google notices it. So that's what I would use if you're going to go after the real estate news is do a page or maybe even blog posts every month that are Santa Rosa real estate news, and then do another one on Sonoma County real estate news, and another one on XYZ city real estate news, and it could be a quick post. But what I would do is I would do Santa Rosa real estate news, March 2014. Okay, that's what the title of the blog post would be. Santa Rosa Real Estate News, March 2014. And then do a Santa Rosa Real Estate News of April 2014. A Santa Rosa Real Estate News, May 2014. You get the idea. Just do one of those a month. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be getting if you're gonna be going after a phrase, Michael, called real estate news, and even if you could rank there, um, the reason people are going there obviously is because they want updated information. So if even if you're able to rank there, and if they get to your page expecting Santa Rosa real estate news and they see that there's not any updated news, they're just going to leave right away anyway. So if you're going to go after that strategy, then yeah, you definitely want it to be current and fluid content. One way that I did it, I was doing it for years, and we stopped doing it because our source for the reports stopped doing it the way that we wanted to do it. That made it easy for us. But we would do like um, real estate stats report in March 2011 or whatever. Okay, so I'm just gonna see if I can find one of ours. I don't even remember when we stopped it. Um, Yeah. Anyway, we were doing these every month, and we were getting a lot of traffic for about 2 to 3 years by doing a new real estate stats report for the whole country every single month. And we would just take a data source. We asked permission from them as long as we gave them recognition in the post. And we were going out there, and every month we would do, March 2010 real estate statistics report, uh, April 2010 real estate statistics report, and we would deliver an awesome report, and we were getting traffic every month from them. So cool. Craigslist training, yep, that should be done next week. Actually, that's the aim is by the end of next week. We've got it 90% done. We're getting some graphics done, and it's almost there. So thanks, Jamie. I'm going to show something on one of these websites that Adrian's working on. So Adrian mentioned about credibility, and that's one of the beautiful things, guys, about showing up to these mastermind calls. We even show you what some people are doing on their websites to build credibility and stuff like that. So one thing that they're doing is okay. Uh, we put a video in the our company. Which am I on the right site for it, Adrian, for the video? And they've got a local resources tab, which is really cool. So this is something I highly suggest, guys. And we've mentioned this before, is to kind of add some extra content, some extra resources for your local website. Go create a page that's local resources for all the electricians, appraisers, all that kind of stuff in your area. Awesome work, man. Um, okay, so I was on the wrong one. Oop, I typed it wrong. Hey, Adrian, looks like you guys still need to update the non WW redirect on that. When you go to the non WW on that, it just goes to the GoDaddy parking page. Okay, so let's just a good example, guys, of building credibility. So on the about page on this, now we've got a video with April about a minute long where she's talking about her business directly to the camera. Um, Welcome to our website. Of West Lawn. What sets us apart? Talking about what they do. Has a picture of her in front of one of the properties. So yeah, that's just awesome stuff. I love it. Testimonials up there. Cool. And let me bounce up to a question. This is a really cool question, actually. This will be the last one, guys. Let's see. Trying to find it because someone got their first real lead. And Lindsay says, got sidetracked selling 8 properties, but the call was good. Awesome. Okay, where is that? Okay, so Jamie, way back earlier in the call, said, any tips on actually making the offer after the walkthrough? I've got a new lead, my first time, and not sure whether to make the offer verbally or to use an offer letter. I'd love feedback so this is me talking now, guys. So for those of you who have done deals and who have experience in it, what's your feedback on that? So she just got her first lead. She did a walk, or she's going to do a walkthrough, or has done a walkthrough. I'm not sure. Should she be making the offer verbally, or should she work up an offer and give it to her in an offer letter? And then I'll give my opinion on it. While that's coming in, Garvin says, "Do you recommend finding a mentor?" Yeah, man, I think everyone should have a mentor at some capacity. It doesn't have to be a paid mentor. There could be a mentor in your area that you just help out. So kind of going back to that Go Giver book, go read that book, and it's going to be a great thing because in that book, that Go Giver guy actually finds a mentor, not one that he pays, but he finds a mentor, and that mentor kind of takes him under his wing because he kind of related to him. He was like a younger version of himself, basically. So yeah, I think everyone should have a mentor. If it's an official mentor, awesome. If you find someone that you really really trust and like, and you have to pay them, awesome. But you can probably find local mentors. Um, and I usually don't pay for a mentor, but I might pay for coaching. So if there's a specific thing that you need to get better at, like let's say that you really need to learn um, how to generate leads through direct mail and you're not sure how to, rather than buying a course, it might make more sense to go find the person who's doing insanely well generating leads through direct mail and pay them to be your coach for 3 months. So there's a big difference between a coach and a mentor in my mind. A mentor is more someone that's helping you out, giving you advice and guidance. And yes, everyone should have one. And only pay a coach when you have something specific, a specific thing that you need help with, and that person's insanely great at that specific thing. Okay. Yeah, so Michael says yeah, Michael says always put it in writing. Doesn't come across very well to make a verbal offer. It's kind of like, would you take blah blah blah. He's dead on there. Um, yep, Quincy, show up with the contracts ready to make the offer. Michael, always put offers in writing. That way they can at least be countered. And also that way there's something in writing that they can say, that you can all say, hey, here's what the offer was. So the seller doesn't say, well, you told me X, because they heard that from someone else, another seller they talked to. Yep. Yeah. So great question, Jamie. Yeah. So she's following the. Sorry, she or are you a Jamie male or Jamie female? Sorry. Okay. Sorry, man. Um, okay. So he asked a question. He says, I'm not a realtor, so I think I can use. So I don't think I can use a formal MD sales contract. I guess I'm looking for a template to use. So, does anyone on this call have kind of a generic offer template that you can send my way or send Jamie's way? Um, if so, let me know, guys, if you're willing to share kind of a more generic template. But in the end, Jamie, it's not anything too fancy. And I agree with everyone. It should be done in writing. You walk through it. And then what you do is as you're walking through it, you're taking notes, of course, of the things that need repaired, the things that devalue the property. And of course, those are things that you negotiate on. So if the seller says, hey, the seller says, hey, why is it so low? Well, it's because I walked through and all the carpet needs to be replaced, which is going to cost us about this. The roof really needs to be replaced, so it's going to cost us about this. This right here needs to be done. To sell it well, we need to open up this wall, I feel, to make it more open, so that's going to cost us about this. Removal of the trash outside is going to cost us this. Landscaping is going to cost us this. So as you're walking through, you're marking all this stuff and you have costs in mind of what it's going to cost you. And then that justifies the offer. And yeah, make the offer in writing, and if you want to put a deadline to it, so this offer is good for 7 days or for 10 days or whatever it is, um, and and explain the offer to them and how it's going to work and whatever. So you don't really need any fancy offer thing. But once they agree to the offer and they maybe sign that saying, yeah, they agree to it, then you get to work with the sales contract. And honestly, I would just go work. I'm not sure what state you're in, but I would honestly work with a title company or an attorney or someone that does that all the time, that does sales contracts. Have them draw that stuff up for you. Okay, so you don't have to worry about drawing up the purchase and sales agreement. Um, the letter, yeah, Michael's saying even a simple letter of intent can suffice, with which later can be reduced to a more formal contract. So, exactly, yeah. So Jamie, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it at all. So just write down the things that need to be fixed. Come up with values and prices to each one of those that justify your offer, because they're going to ask you why the offer is low, and you need to justify why it is. Um, and and then yeah, write up a simple thing. Here's the offer. Here's the terms of the offer. Okay, we'll close within 15 days and all cash. We'll close at the third party title company of your choice. Here's the one that we recommend, because a lot of times they won't have a title company that they recommend. So if you recommend one, obviously go with that one if you're familiar with them. Um, and then once they sign it and say, yeah, let's do this, then you go, okay, we'll drop the contract. And then you get together with your title company and have them draw it up with the terms that you want in it. Okay, so it can't be just a generic purchase and sales. It's got to be adjusted a little bit for the terms that you need. So if you're just wholesaling the property and not purchasing it, then yeah, you're probably not going to have the title company draw it up. Because it's maybe not, if they're experienced in that, possibly. But yeah, what I would suggest, man, is there's a lot of investors in Maryland who are extremely experienced. Brittany Bowling, actually, in your market, is closing deals quite a bit. She closed one a couple days ago from her website, from her Carrot website, and she said it was her biggest one yet. She posted it on her Facebook channel, actually, and she might be a good one to reach out to. If you just go, she's ranking crazy well for a lot of Baltimore terms. But if you just go to sell house, was it sell my Baltimore house fast.com, reach out to Brittany and say, hey, I'm a fellow Investor Carrot member. I'm investing in this part of the area, and honestly, I'm new. I'd love to work with you. Okay. Awesome, guys. Great call today. Thanks for the questions. I hope y'all got something out of it. And this call will be recorded and up in the members area sometime before the end of the week. I appreciate it, guys. So if there's any questions you have about Carrot, about getting better results or whatever, shoot them our way through support. We'll answer these strategy related questions every single week on our mastermind calls. It's a free premium service for our active Investor Carrot members. It doesn't cost you a darn thing, which is another really great benefit of being here with Investor Carrot. Now you don't have to pay $500 a month for a coach. Okay, just come and ask us questions on here. And we've got a lot of really cool things about that are coming out. Some of them are delayed more than others, but we've got a lot of really cool things coming out in the actual software. We got a lot of cool things coming out this year and this summer that are going to help you members connect more, so you guys can do deals together and work together, network together. We've got new services that are coming out that are going to be really great. All kinds of good stuff, guys. So stick with Investor Carrot, grow with us, and hit us with questions as they come by. So thanks, guys. Have an awesome rest of the day, and hopefully you enjoyed the call. Thanks.